welcome to another segment of Business Way Outside the Box. I am your host, Steve Dubin. This show is sponsored by PR Works, a full-service PR firm focused on helping a variety of clients, but in particular, businesses that are way outside the box. Really interesting businesses that aren't quite sure how to get their arms around their message and how to get it to the right audience. If you know someone who has a business that's way outside the box and might be a great guest for our show, please let us know at prworkzone.com and we will consider them for a future show. Today's guest is a productivity coach and has about a decade of experience in helping people get their business lives together in particular, and has her own company out of Greater Providence, has clients all over the world. She'll explain that as well. And without further ado, I'd like to bring on Margo Crawford. Margo?
Hi, thank you so much for having me today, Steve.
Thanks, Margo. And so we've known each other for a while, but some of those people who are joining us today are rookies to what you do. First of all, tell us, what drew you to this world?
Sure. So about 17 years ago, I had a friend who said, "Hey, I know you love organizing and all that productivity stuff. I'm an absolute mess. I need some help. Can you help me?" And I helped him out. And so many people saw a change in what he was doing. They said, "I want that. Where did you get it?" And people started giving me money. I thought the IRS was going to come after me. And so I started a business and got lots of training under my belt, a better understanding of productivity and different methodologies so that I could help my clients be better at the things that they do.
Okay. And so let's start at the top. How does somebody generally look at putting together a productive day?
So a lot of my clients right now who are coming to me are really struggling with a routine because we've had so many changes with COVID and working from home. Our routines have gotten all messed up. So starting with a clear routine, making sure that you have self-care in place, that you are sleeping well, eating well, exercising. And then from that, you can start to build your workday because you have energy and you're replenished.
Okay. And I read in an article about you that you talked about if you are stressed, if you haven't gotten enough sleep, if you're not organized, what happens is a default system of chasing shiny object, whatever comes your way that sort of hits the alarm button, you respond. Is that pretty accurate?
Yes. So what happens is when we get stressed out and overwhelmed, our executive functioning, the portion of our brain that handles things like decision making and planning, shuts down, and survival takes center stage in our day and can really throw us off. And sleep is so very important to productivity. It is truly the cornerstone of having a productive day. Most people need about 7 to 8 hours sleep each night. And they've done studies where they've looked at people who are sleep deprived and a group of people who do like shots of tequila or drinking alcohol, and they have them do the same actions. And what they've found is that the people who are drunk do better at work than the people who are sleep deprived. So making sure that you get 7 to 8 hours sleep each night.
Great. And so, thank you. And so what are the signs that somebody could use some help with productivity? And in particular, what does that look like? What are the phrases we might hear from some of our colleagues that would be sort of an alarm button to us that maybe we should introduce them to you?
So a lot of times clients will come to me and say, "I'm completely overwhelmed with the amount of work that I have to do." Another thing that I hear is, "I'm really successful at work, things are growing great, but I can't get home to my family. I can't see my children. I'm not active in what they're doing and in their life, and I want to be part of that. And I can't because I'm stuck at work. Recently, I had a client who has struggled with one specific project that will really has sort of held her back from getting a promotion and moving forward in her career. And so we looked at what she needs to do, why she is procrastinating and how she's procrastinating, and then coming up with a plan so that she can finish her work so that she can now move her career forward.
And so I hear some entrepreneurs sort of brag about how many hours they put in a week. What would you consider to be a reasonable week for someone who has fairly aggressive goals?
So again, they've done studies where they've looked at people who are working 50, 60, 70 hours a week. And they've looked at people who work less, about 35 hours a week, and have found that the people who work a 35 to 38 hour work week tend to be more productive and engaged with their work than people who are working long hours in their day. 10, 12, 14-hour days can really start to diminish energy. It puts you in a state of burnout. Now, certainly there are times in people's work where there's a special project that comes up where that amount of time is needed to kind of get over that hump. But over a sustained amount of time, what it leads to is complete burnout.
Okay. And so one of my other questions is, you and I are both involved with a number of networking groups. There are ways to be productive in networking, and I'd like to hear about your opinions on that. But I'd also like to know from a productivity coach, what's on time these days to get to anywhere from a virtual networking meeting to eventually back to face-to-face. What do you recommend?
So one thing that's important is to have a process. So when you're networking, what is your process? From the minute you shake someone's hand or meet them on Zoom to how are you going to carry them through so that they understand the work that you do, that you can make a solid connection and relationship with them? What is that process and what will it look like? And then, I'm sorry, you had a second part to that question, Steve.
Well, so one of my questions is really, what is the new on time?
Sure. So I know that a lot of people are struggling with finding the links that they need on Zoom. There's a lot of technology issues that are happening right now. So making sure you give yourself at least 5 to 10 minutes to transition to a meeting, getting into that meeting, making sure that you are testing your microphone, the lighting is right, all of those things you need for a really great Zoom meeting. And I noticed that a lot of people are struggling with, how do I connect on Zoom? So we may be in a virtual networking group. You may see someone, you may not be able to connect with them because someone else is speaking. Make sure that you write down their name and then get into LinkedIn and connect with them that way. That's a great way to kind of keep the process going.
Okay. Tell me, what does an engagement with a productivity coach look like? Because, you know, if you haven't done it before, you have no idea of what time commitment is involved and what are some of the sort of behaviors you're going to ask them to take.
Sure. So in working with me, I have a 5-call package. In that first call, we're really looking at an assessment, and that assessment includes, where are you right now? What are you struggling with? And where do you want to be? And then our next 4 calls are really looking at the direction that you want to take to the changes that you want to make. And each person is different. Some people are really struggling with email management or document management. There are other people who are really high achievers that have that under control and are looking more for work-life integration or work-life balance. So helping them kind of move back on their work and have a productive, efficient day.
Okay. And your company is named Wave Productivity. Can you explain to us where the name came from and how you weave in your other passion of surfing?
Yes. So I am an avid surfer. Around the time that I started my business in 2003, I also started surfing. So I was learning to surf back then. And I have traveled all over the world looking for the perfect wave. But where I've found the perfect wave is here at my home beach in southeastern Massachusetts. And I love to surf. I actually am part of an organization that helps children who are neurodiverse with surf therapy. So we get them out on the water, we get them in the waves and surfing on a surfboard. It's amazing to see. And I love surfing. So I took the two things that I loved, catching waves and productivity, and that's how I came up with my business name.
Okay, great. And so, most people are working virtually now. Um, are you able to work with folks geographically dispersed, or do you need to meet with them in their office to get a better sense of what their challenge is?
So I was lucky in that I've worked virtually before all of this happened. So all of my work is done virtually. There are times that I might go into an office for an in-person visit, but even then, a lot of times I'm working either through Zoom or over the phone, and we're addressing some of the issues that are happening in the office setting so we can make sure that everything's clean and organized and ready so that when people want to be productive, they can jump into their workday.
Okay, and I've been told that one of the cornerstones of productivity for tomorrow is looking at your schedule the night before and sort of really getting a sense of what your next day is about and mentally preparing for that. Can you give us maybe one of your best tips on how to start thinking in a productive manner?
Sure. You may have an extremely long to-do list, but it's just about picking 3 tasks that you can work on, 3 tasks that are really going to move your business forward. Looking at those tasks as on my to-do list is going to drive revenue, and then choosing those 3 tasks to work on. I have an accountability group that meets daily. So at the beginning of the day, people look at and plan, what am I going to do that's going to move me forward? And then we have a specific work time on Zoom. It's a virtual co-working where we all get on Zoom. We all talk about, this is what I'm going to work on for the next hour, and really dig in. So planning out your day and making sure that you have a specific amount of time to really dig into your work or allow some time for thinking. A lot of entrepreneurs don't allow themselves the chance to really think creatively about the work that they do. So making sure that happens as well.
Well, thank you. You've had some really good insights, some actionable tips. How does someone pursue you further if they want to have a conversation about how you might be able to work together?
Sure. If you head to waveproductivity.com, that is the best place to reach me. You can sign up for a contact. We can have a consultation, and I offer a free 30-minute consultation. So you can hop on my website, Wave Productivity, to set that up.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. That wraps up another edition of Business Way Outside the Box, sponsored by PR Works. I'm your host, Steve Dubin. If you know someone who has a business that's way outside the box and you think they'd be a great guest, send us a note to prworkzone.com. Thank you so much, and thank you, Margo, very much.